So this week I gave a class in French, a shiur, which is a study on Torah texts in French. And because a lot of people that couldn't come to the meeting or didn't speak French wanted it also in English, I'm going to record another class, but more succinct this time, because it's what I feel like doing. And this is a very important topic because we are getting close to the Messianic time, and also during the Messianic time, we'll see more of women's impact in society, and it's connected to women's royalty, which we'll be discussing. Women's connection to royalty, because we're all connected to royalty, men, women, everyone is, regardless of your background too. In your own way, you are connected to it. And we're going to start from the very beginning of things, because there really is so much we could say on this topic, which is keter, which is the first emanation of God. And this emanation is in every other emanation of God. Also part of our body, our essence. And in its essence, the word means crown, which can mean many other things. But it's what we understand, what we perceive before wisdom, before we can understand something. So it's perception and identities. And there's also a picture there that breaks it down. Again, identities, this is my own interpretation, but it's very clear when you think of it as a crown on royalty, which is what we're talking about next, because the crown is what the first sign or a sign or a symbol of royalty. And again, there are lots of emanations of God, and I think it's really beautiful when you consider like how little we see of reality, and how these emanations of God are all over the place, and not just in us, but everywhere. They start from us. So we're going to go into a feminine sephira. Let's just clarify. Keter is a masculine sephira, but it is very, very relevant to our topic. So with the Messianic age, life is going to become more like Shabbat. For those who are Jewish, it's relevant because like on Shabbat, we don't work, we rest, but there's a certain atmosphere. But for like the general population, we can say that it's an energy. You're embodying an energy of rest, gratitude. In fact, prayers in that time are mostly about thank you. We don't ask for things. And appreciation of what we have. In fact, it's considered like the manifestation of all blessings. In fact, there's even Hasidic, we're not going to get too much into this, but there's these thoughts that creation actually happens a different way on Shabbat. Happens more immediately. So, and I'm going to share after the video also a link to these sources for you to delve in deeper. So, So just to clarify, I'm citing a prophet saying that, we don't need a king. And the reason, in essence, is because we have God, and God is always with us. But again, you can read more into details later. And now the important part here, when we're talking about keter, is that it's interconnected. It's part of the last sephira, the one that's most connected to the physical world, Malchut, the feminine presence, a feminine sephira, your feminine embodiment, which is also equivalent to like a moon. It's always there, always receiving light from the sun. The sun is a masculine energy. And then or the earth. Malchut is like the earth, it's stable. When I mean stable, I mean that it doesn't need it's like it's the final part. It's when something has been fully materialized. In that sense, is stable. But the wind, which is like the masculine energy metaphor, which I do talk about in my other videos and articles about this wind and the sun, but I'll briefly mention it now also. The wind can move the earth. So again, the earth depends on the wind, the moon depends on the sun, but especially during the Messianic time, which we'll get into more, the woman, actually, here we go. The woman will, actually, it's towards the end, it's not the source here, but it's towards the end. Yeah, the woman, and again, you can read this more in detail later, but the woman will be a source of light for the will bring out the light of the male energy more, which means like the light of our actions, because the male energy represents actions and emotions, which mostly manifested through actions. But this is not keter. Now, keter is a male energy, but that is something else. It's a male energy that's embedded within the feminine. And so here it does, when it talks about air, this particular Torah portion, it talks about this union of the, as you can see above, it says it's a perfect, from the Zohar, it says that it's a perfect embodiment of Malchut. It's a union of the priestly tribe and the more secular tribe, Elisheva, which is from the tribe of Judah, which we also know as King David coming from the tribe of Judah. But it's a harmony, it's a unity of these two tribes that are different, one about the priests and one about the secular life. They're not fusing their identities, but they're creating they're seeing each other. They're getting married in the sense that they're seeing each other. They're creating harmony with each other. It's also like a reminder of how in marriage is we don't just create unity through what we have in common, we also create unity through what we don't have in common, while preserving identities. So this feminine energy, which again, everyone has this feminine energy, male or female, and Jewish and not Jewish, but in the sense that now we're talking more specifically about women, you could, or let's just say men too, we could say, this is something I came up with. There was a play on words in French, actually, because cour is like cour. So the heart is like your cort, because the male energy, to talk a lot about in my previous clips, is from the heart. The heart is a source that synthesizes emotions, actions, and it's like the court of the royalty. And then, so we have another royal couple, Zipporah, and the essence here is that she was there was these commentaries about how when she got married, based on the language used in the Torah, it doesn't sound like she has a typical marriage, but God gives the opportunity to change this, and then the language in the Torah also changes. It has words that are very specific to marriage that every other couple has, and also there's also these words of chatan that are being used, which is like bride, groom, I mean. And so, in a few words, a little more practical thing to understand here is that Zipporah wasn't like, she was married to Moshe, who was, complete, and the Zohar gets into like how amazing he was for being so complete internally, and it was just like and so, but she knew who she was. She again, keter is identity. She acknowledged and she lived by who she was, made choices based on who she was, and because of that, when the occasion came for her to express right before the Torah changes the language to say that she finally married Moshe, there is this God texts Moshe and the son, and she understands because they have to do the Brit Milah. I mean, her younger son has to do Brit Milah, and so in that moment, she immediately acts to do the Brit Milah, and this immediate action is very symbolic of how it's something that is immediate in her. She immediately knows what to do because this is who she is. She is royalty. She is a helper. She is Moshe's helper because a partner is a helper. So again, when you embody your royalty, you instinctively immediately know what to do. And so, and you could say also that her disadvantage became her advantage because also not living in Israeli society and only having seen one bris or like one specific Jewish ritual, she understood that she was less inhibited to do it herself. You could get into the details of how her disadvantage actually became an advantage. But the whole point here is that she acted from who she was, so it was something immediate, and she was able to save Moshe's life and also her son's life. So anyways, there were some other sources here about how identity was used to go against the king. Okay, because they used the woman who when the king Pharaoh ordered the children to be killed, the first male to be killed, they used identity to counteract what he was saying by saying, oh, these women, they give birth so quickly. And even if it was a negative way, they use identity. And also here when Bathsheba saved Moshe, the daughter of Pharaoh, she just simply saw Moshe for what he was, which was a baby. Yeah, he was baby crying, and identity, essence of who someone is. And so the important thing here is, in whatever way that comes most naturally to you, and remember the essence of things, the identity of something, the identity of a situation, to find its greater power, the source identity. And so, yeah, can we ask more questions? So, thank you so much.